so cool. How are you?
Oh, good, oh, good, oh, good. Oh,
So what are you doing at the moment?
I've well, at the minute I'm writing a play, just covering a small episode in my life where I lost about eight of my friends on operations, and I want to. It's a play sort of celebrating the memory. So I'm writing that, and I've done a scratch performance of it at the Theatre Royal at Plymouth, and I'm going to be developing it and hopefully taking it on tour in the new year. In between that, I've got a sideline job doing rope access. So I've been in a power station today cleaning inside on ropes. So that's why I look a bit disheveled, shall we say. Every actor has a sideline job.
Okay. What do you want to tell? What with that what you write about
The play.
yeah. What's the moral?
Well, the play is it's called Brothers, and it's about the importance of friendship and good mentors, I think, for younger people and younger men especially. But for younger people, just to have those good, and the importance of human beings and friendship. And I recently had some incredibly strong individuals that were my friends that before we invaded Iraq, their helicopter crash, it blew up underneath me. And we lost them. So it was a massive chunk. We lost eight of those people, eight of our people, before we were going on operations, and we had to sort of carry on without them. But they were so important, and we'd such a bond. We were expecting them to show up at some time, and that traumatic experience that we went through we didn't really. It was very hard for me to find if it really happened. So it's just that that magic way the human mind plays with you, but the importance of to have good mentors and to have friends that you can rely on and have a sounding board and help you create and do things. So it's about friendship really and brotherhood, sisterhood, family. You know what I mean? It's just that not necessarily you need to have blood ties to people to have a strong connection and link.
Did somebody ask you to write this play, or do you write it and then maybe make it a book?
Oh no, I it happened 22 years ago now. So um it's just something that's always been there. And because of the way the world is at the minute, it's like, so many people people are dying all around the world today, and it's a very sad sort of like time for everyone. And I just want to keep the memories alive and just realize that when we lose somebody traumatically or anything, even family, when you lose people, it isn't just, the end of a life. There's a ripple that goes from their existence that affects so many people. When younger people are lost traumatically, then it's quite instantaneous, and that effect will never be forgotten, and that those human beings that have been close to them will be affected for a long, long time, well, eternally. And those people that love them, especially parents or mothers or fathers, that for a lot of them is probably the end of their life as well. You know what I mean? It's really hard. So I want their memory kept alive, and that's it. I'm purely it's a very unselfish thing because it's not for a book, it's not for money, it's not for this, that. It's purely for to keep their memories alive. And I want to be able to bring them on stage. It's a one person show, a play, bring them on stage, introduce them, and then let everyone else have a little bit of experience and love of these people that are no longer with us.
Who made you go back to university to study acting?
Well, I was I I've been in the I've been a Marine or a commando for nearly 30 years. I was just coming, I'm in my 30th year, and I sort of sat there and I had my reading glasses on. For most of those 30 years, I'd played commandos. I would, I was like the lead element for a lot of operational experiences, a lot of operations around the world. And now I was sitting in front of a computer screen, and I thought, yeah, I think I have to do something different. And all I ever wanted to be. I mean, I'm an Irishman, so for me becoming a Royal Marine Commander was probably especially where I come from. It's quite not many people that did what I did by joining the British Commandos as such, the Royal Marines, and that's what I wanted to do. So when it came to a certain point, it wasn't about I had to do something else, and I thought about what was it that I learned through my my life experience in the forces or in the as and the job I done. What can I? There's loads of things I could do. I mean, like say, I'm a mountain leader. I climb mountains. I ski. I do this. I do that. Blah. All these things. There's things I could have done. But I love those activities. But I don't think I would enjoy instructing and or doing things like that. So the thing that stood out more than anything was the stories, was was the life. So I decided that I wanted to become a storyteller. So I looked at university at creative writing initially to tell stories or write stories. But within the department of the university, there was an actor training school called the Actors Wheel, and within that, it was it just clicked straight away. I thought that's the way we tell stories. It's you embody it, you come of it. We in the Marines or in the Royal, the naval sort of like side of things in the United Kingdom is we call it spinning bits or telling stories. So it might be hard for your German to understand. So we call it like telling a tale, spinning a bit is what we do. We tell stories, and it's a very I think it's a real human thing, storytelling and people creating and acting and telling stories. That is human nature. That's across every culture in the world. That is what people do. So I realized that that's the way I tell stories. So I trained as an actor. I went and spent 3 years training as an actor, and it was brilliant. I mean, I was slightly chunkier and older than a lot of my colleagues, but I learned a lot from the young people I work with, very talented, and I also got a lot of experience from my lecturers who were all professional, practitioners, dramaturg, and actors. So they were, I took all the good things I needed and launched myself into being a professional actor with a sideline job, of course. Oh, say again. Sorry, you paused a
Acting
bit.
and posing did help does help in the army to get through certain situations
Well, yeah,
to
yes. I mean, funny you say that. I never thought it at the time when I decided to become an actor, but now that I've trained as an actor, there's so many. I think every human being, when you go to the shops, you go to the shops and you buy, whatever, and come home again. You think about the times that you have to act or pretend or become somebody when you're doing anything. You know what I mean? Walking, communicating with somebody you don't know. There's always a little bit of posing or acting that's done. And in on operations, there's times where you're, especially like like I said, in times I was in Afghanistan where you were having to conduct a shura or speak to local people, and they're speaking a different language. You've got an interpreter. You're trying to engage with them, but you've got to give them a message, and you've got no malice or hatred or anything for these people, but you've got to just like you've got to do this. We've got to be. We want to help you to help yourselves to do what needs to be done, and in a way you have to act. Also times when things were got a little bit hairy, shall we say, and things got a bit shall we say dangerous and kinetic, so the battle was sort of flying. You had to sort of look around as a commander and go, right guys, we're going out the door and we got to crack on with it. But even your own personal fears now have to be put away. You have to put on. It's not an act. You've just got to, but it's reality. But you are acting in a way because you have to sort of like empower your people to have the confidence to move forward. But in a way, you're still got the same fears that they have, but you're the one in charge. So you have to put on and it's not an act. It's a very hard thing to do. So now I am an actor, and it's pretense. It's not real. But when I was acting in, I'd say in the Marines, it wasn't pretense. It was real. It was reality. So in a way, life, it's a classic Shakespeare term. All the world's a stage. So life is an act. So, but it's different what I do now. Mine's not. It's not reality. It's pretense. I'm not getting shot at or blown up. So now I enjoy what I do, but I draw on all those life experience and skills that I've had from before living in Ireland, growing up in Ireland, and my time in the Marines as well. It helps me to create or to layer characters better, I think, because of my life experience.
But was then your favorite movie growing up? Who told you to go to become a soldier?
Oh no, no. For me to become to be a Marine commander it was um it was a very personal thing because I couldn't coming from Ireland, I couldn't tell people what I wanted to do as such. So I basically went and done it really, and I'm glad I did it. It was important for me to do it, and it was the right choice. But it was something inside of me that made thought that I should do that. Maybe it was growing up, you know, I lived in Belfast, so there was soldiers on the streets, there was bombings, there was shootings, it was that was day to day life in Belfast for a lot of people, sadly. Uh, but I sort of grew up in those years, and I still wanted to do what I done, and I went and became a Royal Marines commander, and I'm glad I done that. That was something really important for me, and I done it. What inspirationally that made me want to do what I done, I don't know, but I just had this feeling, and it was like you must admit you've got a life, and but if it's like becoming an actor. I never wanted to be an actor, but it just came a moment in my life where we're going, that is what I have to be. And back then in Ireland, I realized then that I need to become a Royal Marines commando, and that's what I done. So now my destiny now is to be a storyteller, to be an actor. So that's what I do.
You could have become study business or something.
No, no, yeah, completely. It could have been anything, but I, I, it's so when I was very, very, very young. So I was about 7 years old. I seen an advertisement in the newspaper to be for Royal Marines Commandos, and I thought, oh, Marines and Commandos. I was about 7 years old, So I filled in my name and thing that and sent off for it. And they sent me all the stuff and said I was too young to join, so I was only seven. Uh, but the mere fact that they sort of replied and just that was it. But that
But
that's just
now, going back to uni.
yeah. Oh no, going back to university was it was a bit of a shock, really. It was because I was 47 years old when I started training as an actor. That's 10 years ago. So I started training 10 years ago. Done 3 years professional, sort of like actor training. Uh, Graduated with a BA honors in acting. And since then I've been a professional actor. But as an actor, and I think, you know, actors all around the world, you never stop learning. You're always learning, you're always improving your craft and carry on with it. But I wasn't very academic or education wasn't my main priority when I was young. I liked activity, I like sport, I like being outside, I like jumping in the sea, climbing mountains, and that's really what I ended up doing in the Marines, which was quite good.
How was it to be a mature student with all the young students? Were they interested in anything what
Oh
you
no,
did?
it was that was probably the shock because I thought, right, I've been in the Marines, I like, I've worked with young people and this and that, and then I went to university and I just realized it, and they're wonderful and they're incredible and they're still some really great friends like, but when you're between maybe 18, 21, 22, you're still going through those challenges in life, that are you think are extremely serious, but after when you're 47 and you've spent a big chunk of your life on operations and fighting wars, you realize that there's there's it puts everything into perspective a lot easier. So when they some of my young colleagues or friends that had breakups with their boyfriends or they were struggling with the hierarchy of the university. It was I really couldn't get that excited. So, but that's life. That's life because I've done all that when I was back, when I was young and all that there. So, but when it came to, no, I just realized that every human being has to have that journey in life. And I think if you go as a mature student, you come with all that life experience, but the young people there, they're still buzzing and they think, they're adults, they're growing up, they're doing this, you know what I mean? But you could just it's wonderful really as a spectator being able to sort of look at it and then you sort of go, I remember, those sort of things. But yeah, I think I'm glad I went to university as a mature student. I don't think I could have done it when I was younger. I think I was just drinking beer and just chasing girls. That would have been my job, in then. But now I knew what I wanted. I had a goal, and it was quite good. And because I was the old git, I got a lot of jobs. When people were creating plays or doing things, I always got to play the dad or the granddad, and so there was always parts for me, which was good.
Are you dead?
Oh, me, am I a dad? Oh yeah, dad, granddad. Yeah, so I've got the full gang as such.
And they're all going to the army as well.
No, not really. They've all got their own lives and adventures, and they carry on. I'm just the I'm just the old guy who's an actor now. Used to be a bit of a but used to play soldiers. Now he's an actor.
And what was your goal then going to study back? An Oscar, winning the BAFTAs?
I it's weird that because I think if you're going to become an actor, that I think everybody will. Yeah, yeah. If you're going to be an actor, that's what you do. Now, when you train and you evolve as an actor, it isn't really about that. It's about the work because you want to be professional, you want to be paid. But it's about the story. It's about people. It's about humanity. It's about the story. I love creating and layering a character and becoming a character and delivering a good performance. It's really important to think. I don't. The thing is, when I came from the Marines, trained as an actor, because as a soldier, you work hard, you do 100%, give 100%, things will work. It will always work for you. You know what I mean? That's it. Everything will work. As an actor, you really have to take it. You have to give that, but you have to be more confident and take your foot off the pedal and sort of chill and roll and be more. Yeah, you've got to open more doors as an actor. I mean, for me, and because I've been in the military, it wasn't. There was no way I was, should we say, part of the system or anything. I've always had my own thoughts and my own ways, but I think when you become an actor, and I'm glad I done it, my training and the experiences I've had an actor and becoming characters and open doors and also delving into the emotional roller coaster that you need to be an actor. That was really important as well. I think that was something that I struggled with initially because for me to reach some of the emotional depths, that a story sort of lends to, your character has to reach, meant that you had for me, I had to sort of tap into real life experiences, which again is probably about the play Brothers, which I've written and I'm performing. It's about them. I have to reach into these people that are no longer with us and their memories and how that feels and family members as well. And I struggled morally with doing that because uh you know when you're creating this character, it's for entertainment, it's to tell a story, but they're really sacred personal memories and human beings. So I was going to stop training as an actor because I thought I didn't want to, I felt bankrupt morally by using those memories to get reach certain levels. But then I realized that being an actor allows me on things like this to make sure that people remember that for me to be convincing as an actor, I need to call on friends who are no longer with us. And I always sort of have it in my head. Have you seen the film Stardust?
No.
Stardust with like, it's by a it's wonderful. If you get a chance, have a look. Robert De Niro's in it as well, but it's quite a magical sort of like tale. But it's about like these the ghosts of the brothers. There's all these like gang of brothers, and they have to be ghosts until they find who the new king is. So they all in his mind, the ghosts are always there, and I've got the same sort of thing. So even like if I'm before I go on stage of that, and if I feeling slightly apprehensive in that. I just have a little thought, and I think of all my friends who are no longer with us, going, sort of laughing a bit and saying, "Hold on a second, you've been shot at from about 30 yards away. You weren't frightened then, so why you just have to stand there and talk? You can't be frightened now." So I've got them always with me, going, "Whoa, let's bring things into perspective and just carry on with it." So I realized for me to be an actor, I need those people with me. And I want them with me so I can tell people that there's a lot of people that are no longer with us who died on operations, sacrificing for our freedoms. And I need them to be with me to be a convincing actor or to be a believable actor.
Yeah, everybody takes keeps carries people along,
Yeah.
brings them. And in the film Kingman 1, that was directed by Steven Spielberg, you were a 101 supervisor. Is that a gun advisor or a stunt advisor?
Oh
What
no,
did
no,
you
yeah. I think somebody put that up, but right. And if you look in the film, I read the book as well. The book's incredible, but the film Ready Player One, it's obviously there's a certain part of it is reality when he's not in the game, and it's where Olivia Cook and that they're in. She's in like the system where they're all the pods where everyone's like doing going through the system, and I was one of the supervisors going around. It was brilliant because I got to meet Steven Spielberg and and the A team of filmmaking at the time. But I put my foot into doing extra or supporting actor work purely to get the experience of what making movies is all about, big movies. And I had the opportunity to do extra work or supporting actor work on Kingsman 2, Mary Queen of Scots, Ready Player One, Gorilla, Vidris Elba. So quite a few things. But that was purely my avenue to go, right, what does the first do? What does the third do? What does the second do? What do the runners do? What does the AD do? What do the ADs one, two, and three? All this sort of stuff. And I learned it. It was brilliant. And that obviously just the sort of like to meet and work with on be on set with like Steven Spielberg is incredible. Hopefully someday, even though I'm getting crunchy nose, hopefully someday I'll get that opportunity again. You never know.
Yeah, are you in contact with all them?
No, no. Well, no. I've got an agent, uh, so if anybody out here sees this and they want to get me on a gig or in a film or anything, get in touch with my agent Julie Fox, and she'll sort it out. But it's like you say, it is a very tough industry. I mean, it is for German actors and across the world. It's a you know they say that it's the most overpopulated industry in the world. So you've got all these creatives and actors and writers and everyone. They all they love because it's nature. It's what we do. Tell stories, but it's to get your stuff and be professional and to get to make a living so you can survive to carry on doing this. It's quite a hard thing to do. So for me, I'm just gonna keep on doing my auditions, self tapes, and also creating my own work so that I can keep acting, which I enjoy doing.
What is the difference between filming in the US and the UK?
Oh, well, yeah, I haven't. I did. We went out with Sunray. We made Sunray Fallen Soldier, and we got invited out to America to Texas. Uh, and it was great. They supported the film, and they're they've given us a lot of support from Black Rifle Coffee in the United States, and we went out there, work out there. I've done a few auditions. I haven't actually had a job out in the States yet. I've worked on American films in the UK, in Warner Brothers, and different like big sort of like studios and that there, and Pinewood and that. But because there is quite a lot of films being made, like global films being made in the United Kingdom and in Ireland as well. So, you know, I haven't really had the chance to get to America to do any film work yet. And obviously, to do that, you have to become a after member, member. So that's if it comes my way, that's what I'll do. I'll chase it.
You were 5 years active deployment in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kosovo. Was it a kind of conflict you have in Northern Ireland? Is it comparable?
Yeah, it was very Kosovo was very uh it was similar in a lot of respects because it was to do with like, religion, cultural issues. So yeah, it was but the different thing is I'm actually not from Kosovo, so you had to really research about the history and about the conflict and what had been happening and the recent history as well. Uh, but I think we done well and we helped people. Uh, and we had some really good jobs out there when I was working with the Marines. Uh, and it's like in Ireland. Ireland, I am an Irish man, but Ireland is very, very important for me. But to serve there was, I had to be part of it because it's at the end of the day, it's my island, and whether you're Irish or British or not one or the other, or Catholic or Protestant or whatever, we've all got to do our thing to make it right, rather than killing each other, which is very, very, what I mean, which I'm glad we're moving on from. And the longer we're away from the violence, the more chances that we will return to it.
Is there still violence?
Still, there's still friction, but I think the friction is slowly, well, it has been slowly sort of like disappearing. But I think that the world's quite a fractious place at the minute. So I'm just wondering, I just hope that it does stay that way and we still move on to a more, you know, peaceful engagement and make decisions about, looking people and talking to them rather than taking people's lives.
What jobs did you have in Kosovo? Did you work also with the German Car Force?
Um, yeah, we did. There was quite uh we were working to our brigade commander and also the General K Force. So there was quite a lot of German staff and soldiers there as well. So we did not with the ground troops. I think um, I know a few of the guys that worked. I think with some German forces in Afghanistan. Was it? Yeah, I think. But again, I'm not too sure. But I've just I personally hadn't like. But I know in K4 that we worked with like Germans that.
Yes.
Yeah,
There
but
was,
there was only at staff level, so it was staff level job really. But we
and,
were
but
we were we were on the ground working to our within our own the commando brigade, so we were working to our commander who was working the General K for. But we did have we had meetings and that there where there were German officers there, and I worked with German mountain troops once as well because I'm a mountain leader in the. I spent most of my life in the mountains, and we work with a couple of German mountain troops came over, and we were working and doing tactics with them, just on different sort of like combat climbing techniques that we use.
where?
That was we had done it on Dartmoor, a place called Fog and Tour, but also I went to a conference in Aosta in Italy with the Alpine mountain troops, and we met the German guys there, and we worked with them as well.
Can you a story from Belfast? What crime went there? I don't think lots of German people know this.
Oh
Or
no, let's see. But yeah, but I mean, we're talking quite sort of like it's reasonably a long time ago. I mean, from when the Good Friday Agreement and things have moved on, but obviously the troubles were quite I sort of grew up in the Troubles. So from when I was born in 1968, that's basically the Troubles started shortly afterwards, and it went on for quite a long period where there was you the British forces were deployed, and that part of Ireland was just it was a very very violent period where between challenging between loyalists and Republicans, which were sort of separated by religion, Protestant and Catholics, uh, and those that division sort of grew deeper and more violent through the years. And I think we're through to a better sort of point now where we're you know we're moving forward. We're engaging with each other and deciding the destiny or the way forward for Northern Ireland or that part of Ireland, and what's better for that and for people.
But was this more as like a mafia or
Oh no, I
hooligan?
oh no, there was all. I think you had all sorts of elements from it, but mafia wise, now it's not. I'm not sort of privy to that. So for me, it was a conflict. It's probably a historical conflict as well, going between people from Ireland not wishing to have British rule. So, and a lot of times, there are a lot of periods, some periods during history where violence they've moved towards a violent means to break that connection with the United Kingdom. But there's a sizable bunch of people in the northern part of Ireland who want to remain part of the United Kingdom. So that's where the fractures and the nature's been. But like I say, things are moving forward, and people realize that they've the way forward is through peaceful negotiations. And that's not the way forward in a lot of places in the world, but for Ireland, that's the way they have to do it, I think.
You also put on a play in Israel, no?
Yeah, I done a play. I got there was a play called Minefield by Lola Arias. She's an Argentinian playwright, a very successful one. And she wrote a play about the Malvinas or the Falklands War in 1982, and the cast was made up of three Argentinian soldiers from the conflict and three British soldiers from the conflict, and they'd done a world tour. It was very successful, and it came to the 40th anniversary um, performances that they were going to do in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And one of the characters, even though I wasn't in the Falklands, I joined the Marines in '86, so 4 years after the Falklands. But one of the cast, couldn't do it. So I got a call saying that you're obviously, and he was a former Royal Marine. You're a former Royal Marine. Could you, and an actor, do you fancy doing this? Uh, so I went, yeah, I suppose, but I wasn't in the Falklands. I go, no, no, don't worry about it. You'll be telling somebody else's story. So I joined the cast, and we done for 5 weeks in Buenos Aires at a quite a big theater in Buenos Aires. We were sold out every night, and we performed the play. And then a year after that, we were invited with the play to Jerusalem to perform in the Jerusalem Theatre Festival.
The
And it was
VDF actors.
well, no, well, the Israelis involved because all Israelis spend their time in, and I've done conscript service, I've done service, and I spoke to a lot of people there, both people that came to see the show and people involved with the creativity in that had been involved in operations with the IDF, but they were also working in resolution, and there was a lot of Palestinian people and people from the other side, and they were like they were trying again, they were seeking resolution rather than conflict, and that's even the ones that were involved in quite severe operations, and they were trying to make a more positive way forward and get a peaceful solution, and that was it was quite bizarre because it was such an enlightening time and lovely time to be in Jerusalem and listen to it. But within a couple of months of us coming back, uh, there was the attack in October, which was which was horrendous. And since then, things have went really downhill. And I often wonder about some of the people and the characters I met. What would have happened to them, or what has happened to them.
Yeah, if I mean, if you grow up in a conflict area, you must share like a lot of childhood memories, like
No, no,
just
yeah,
by
yeah,
by incident or something.
yeah. But I mean, I think like coming from Northern Ireland, that as well, like you can empathize with the scenario out there. But the sad thing is that innocent people on all sides are losing their lives, and that is, no matter what, if you get involved with a kinetic battle, and if you were, should we say, supposed to be civilized, you've got to, make sure that, it's done under the rules of engagement, and in in sort of like an agreement with the rules of war. You know what I mean? So that's just something that's not for me to discuss or talk about. But yeah, I can empathize with human beings that are struggling and want to get resolution. Human beings are human beings, and like good ones are really good, bad ones are really bad. So what I find is we are all the same, and human beings, like I say, are good. They're the ones that need to sort of like win through in the end, because like I say, if life can be quite simple. You know what I mean? I think it is, but I think, yeah, I just think like kindness, understanding, and not all.
In Afghanistan. So is there a scene in Britain, Germany, of soldiers bringing back Afghans and doing charity or documentation work and try to integrate and tell about tales about the beauty of this country.
Yeah, I mean, I remember bumping into um a taxi driver one night, a coming who gave me a lift home from the pub, and he was from Afghan, and his English was really good. And I said, "Oh," and he was an interpreter in Afghanistan, and he was driving a taxi, and that was his sideline job. But he was also working in the hospital as a porter, and he was an incredible guy, and he managed to get away and get his family over here, and it was really lovely meeting him and speaking to him. And I remember I had a meeting at one time. I went to a village in 2002 in Afghanistan, and I met this guy, and yeah, it was plainly obviously that he was Taliban, and his English was really really good. And I said, "Well, are you Taliban?" And he said, "No, no, no." He said, "Not Taliban. They're not bad." He said, "You get good Taliban, you get bad Taliban." And I was like, hmm. And that stuck with me. And I said to this taxi driver, I said, "Well, I met this guy once," and I said, I said, "Well, you Taliban, like." He said, "No, Taliban are students." He said, "But when I said there's good Taliban, bad Taliban," and he was, he was shocked. He just went, he said, "No," he said, "No," he said, "There's no good Taliban." He said, "They have destroyed my country," and I that stuck with me, quite a bit. And I mean, I can't, because I haven't been there when the Taliban are ruling. I can't really say about it, but it's just how, he was heartbroken to even hear people even consider, for me to say that. He said, no, he said that there's absolutely no good Taliban. Taliban have destroyed his country, he said. So, and I'd listen to somebody like that because he's a hardworking, good person who's managed to sort of save his family, but still loves Afghanistan.
But in different countries, different attitudes with for Afghanistan. I mean, Britain was there in the 70s. There's this movie about John Lennon winning the war.
Yeah,
Do you
but
know it? They built a cricket field when they
oh no,
arrived.
yeah, I know. Like I said, but yeah, I think there's always been a connection there. I mean, there was a lot of battles in between Russia, Afghanistan, Britain hundreds of years ago. So it wasn't just the 70s. So there's always been a link or a connection with Afghanistan, but and it hasn't always been good. But I know the Afghan culture, they love cricket. They absolutely love it. It's very much like India. India loves cricket as well, and that was something that we were able to engage quite a bit with young people to play cricket and get involved out there. And that was like one of the good like tools for, engaging with people. But yeah, I haven't seen the John Lennon film, but we all know as well, like before, the sort of like far, the radical sort of like, fundamentalism that, the Taliban brings, it, it used to be part of the hippie trail, didn't it? Afghanistan was like part of the, people would go there and, that was part of the, you know, getting to sort of like, see that side of life as such. You know what I mean? A bit like India, a bit like gurus, but Afghan used to be part of that trail. I don't, unfortunately, well, it might still be in some respects, but I think it's not as attractive anymore, is it?
Did they, how would you recognize them?
I mean, you couldn't really. I mean, I, the people that I met that maybe I suspected were Taliban or supported him. They were the ones that I met, and like this is quite some time ago. They were very articulate. They spoke good English, but they were in charge of the madrasas, so they would run the Islamic schools within the village and that. So they were the senior people, and and they give the sort of like the education for the youth there. So I think that's because Taliban means students, so that's probably where that's probably their background, and that's where they were. So, and it's not nothing proven, but that was just my suspicions as such. But there was no reason for me to go, oh, you're a Taliban. I mean? So you ask them questions, you engage with them, you talk to people, and that's it. If nobody's shooting at you, you're not going to shoot people, are you? So it's engagement's the best way to do it. So I did, I've definitely met people that were most definitely Taliban, but there was, but that wasn't on the table. That wasn't sort of like, they didn't sort of like put their hands in the air and say, yes, I am. But, it's plainly obvious that what they were delivering, what they were doing was maybe the true sort of Taliban student of God.
And how did that look like? Um, did you just active the defend and their military uh, their weaponry, or did you have basically night raids where you'd come and raid like schools and stuff?
No, 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 not no. You would act on intelligence. You know what I mean? So the intelligence you've got to, and it's got to be well-founded intelligence to work on stuff. It wasn't. I never done any night raids. Uh, what we did when we were initially out there, we were really directly. It was a different stage of the conflict. We were directly sort of like chasing, like active Taliban units as such. So there was no up until that. We were getting intelligence and stuff. So when we went into the more kinetic sort of battles, and that the actions that were carried out were just under from direct intelligence feeds from all sort of sources. So you had the confidence that you were working on genuine sort of intelligence. If a direct action had to be taken on, then it was from good intelligence, and that action would mean. And I spent one of my tours was working on picking up that intelligence and pushing it forward to see that if we could carry out direct, not direct action, but actions that would like, get a result from the intelligence.
What would that include to? I don't know, to kidnap the people or to
Oh no,
put
no,
the people
no,
away
not
so they
kid.
don't get bombed or
No, there's no, not kidnapping or anything like that. No, but if we had intelligence to go and like, there was a suspect or a Taliban, thing of intelligence, and we would go and confirm it, or speak to people to see if there's, been any movement or activity. A lot of times the people were quite frightened because of the threat from the Taliban. So a lot of times we wouldn't get, information from people because they were frightened to tell us, you know what I mean? So you had to really, really work hard and get to know people and become friends with them. But it was I mean, you have to work on, you have to gain intelligence, you have to maybe even create intelligence yourself, find out patterns of life, and what way, the enemy or the Taliban are operating. So you work out what they're doing, and basically you start creating um all the patterns that happen before attacks, and all the MOs and the TTPs, or the training and practices that the enemy were doing. You try and fathom them and not adopt them, but just combat them, and that's the way you would engage with them.
and you'd be there. You can't be really undercover like James Bond, but
No, but I'd probably stand out a bit, wouldn't I? In Afghanistan, but I've there were people who were doing that type of thing, so we would work on that sort of intelligence as well.
it does Britain build schools there now?
Oh no, yeah, yeah. I mean, during the time there was a lot of like construction and reconstruction, and support to the communities as best we could. Some of the areas, especially when into Helmand, where there wasn't really, it hadn't initially, it didn't have that secure enough environment to build, restructure things. But there was always there, and there was an international sort of like fund and community wanting to move forward and build schools and give opportunities to poor Afghan people to have education, you know to be productive in life, you know what I mean, and have goals, and maybe and have set goals, you know what I mean, because a lot of them, a lot of these villages now, they don't have much opportunity, you know what I mean, or that they and we're not there. I was never there to sort of go, right, this is the way you have to be, because we're like this, and thing. But they've got their own culture, you know what I mean, and there's points of it I probably disagree with, but there's a lot of it that is, you know what I mean, it's been enduring and human for a long, long time. So uh but it's just given, I think it's social mobility in a lot of respects, because you want to give people opportunities, and and I did come across a few people that were really wanting to break the mold and do something different, and get out, maybe even get out of Afghanistan and go and see the world and see what it had to offer. But they, that would never be an option for them unless they got educated, unless they, followed, follow their goals.
Did the British media a good job about
But
showing what actually went on in Afghanistan?
um, I think the media is a wide spectrum, isn't it? So media is there, and I've learned to realize that you get different views and different stories from all corners of the media. Uh, it's their perspective. That's it. So I think the more research and genuine media that we have, uh, that's important for free democracies and society. But I don't. You must. It's the same in Germany. There's certain newspapers that will tell you exactly what they, the stories they want to tell. So there'll be certain, like, so should we say, media or news outlets
Are
will
they,
give their.
let's say the British Army, the British Army,
Oh,
did they do a good job about telling what was went on there?
um, holistically, yes, but I think we, and I can't. This is only a perception. When I was there, the what we done, and the way we operated, and the people I operated with, they were incredible, extremely brave, extremely professional, and they were very effective, very effective. Uh, and they understood the Afghan people, and they understood what we wanted to, help them with, to give them the best out of life. And that was it. And we sacrificed a hell of a lot of blood and treasure and people, doing that. And I think it's, rather than sort of like casting it with the armed forces or the veterans, just realize, the significant, massive sacrifice made by a lot of like human beings that were there to help Afghan people just have things in life like education and food and a bit of normality.
When did you make an app for? Did you think um you you came you made an it further on there? What was your reason that you say that's why I was there? Like
Um, why I was there. I mean, for me, it was, well, it was like,
adventure.
officially, it was obviously under the direction of our government or on the allied governments or as a greater good or whatever else. But for me, it was that was my job. It's what I done, and I done it for the people that I worked left and right, who were in my team, or in my section, or who were in my troop, my commando unit. That's who I done it for. So I done it to make sure that they were good, they were professional, and and they and they came back safely as best they could. And that wasn't always, that never, unfortunately, that didn't happen all the time.
No, you started veteran comedy, stand-up comedy. That's a
Yeah.
thing I did research all over the globe, and only the US and the Netherlands have it. I found one news that on a fringe festival, a veteran comedian fell off the stage, but that wasn't a army veteran who did stand-up comedy. So how did you come across about this? Maybe if
Well, yeah. I mean, I obviously trained as an actor, and I never done stand up. But a few friends of mine were in London, and they they organised a with the comedy club. They organised for veterans and people that suffered and gone through either addiction or mental health issues. And along with the National Health Service, they run a stand up comedy course. And I couldn't, unfortunately, because we're in London, I couldn't get to the actual training, but I popped up and seen them, and then I watched their show, and I was completely blown away by how these people that were like, some of them really suffering with, like, with their own personal challenges, and they got this opportunity to become stand-up comedians. And it was like a light switching on. They just transformed. They were incredibly, they were so funny. They were being themselves. They weren't pretense. There was no pretending, the pretense or anything. There was no pretending. They were just really genuinely funny. And I just thought, now that is magic. I need to get involved in that. So I work with a veterans group in the R Space program in Plymouth, in Theatre Hall, Plymouth, in the southwest of England. And we've had a comedy club, or a comedy sort of like, type thing happening uh, with veterans. And we're trying to build it up again and do it. And it's so transformative. It's one of those things. It's I haven't harnessed the ability to be a stand-up comedian yet, but I love it, and I'm going, I want to do that sometime. So it's just something I'm chasing, and I'd love to keep getting veterans involved with it.
but are they talking about making their jokes about bombs and situations in conflict?
Yeah,
Like
they are. But they do. But it's like when you're working on stuff like that, you're in a safe space. You're in a space where you can do that. You can develop it. You can do the highs and lows, but also you get people go, well, that's not funny. That's not funny. That's funny. That's funny. Say it this way. And we had I've worked with a lot of comedians that really know how to do it, and still get all those, those things that they want to say and say it in a way that is hilarious.